DJNTV, it's the Perfect Host Show with Jim Cerone. This week, live right before an event. Remember, show prep number one, get there early. The guests aren't expected for about an hour. Coming up on this week's episode, we're going to empty the mailbag. That's next. This is the Perfect Host Show on DJNTV. I'm Jim Cerone. Today we're live at the Scottish Rite Cathedral in downtown Indianapolis. There's 4 different ballrooms in this building. We're in the wooden ballroom. If you look through, the detail is unbelievable, and the main feature, of course, this incredible chandelier right in the middle of the room. We're here for a wedding of about 200, and we're here extra early, so we've got time to empty the viewer mail. We'll start with one from Paul Parinello. Paul writes, what do you do when people ask for pricing or more information about my services and then give me the silent treatment? Why doesn't anybody want to talk, visit, or email? Paul, I'm going to recommend that you seek out the books by Alan Berg. The first one is called Shut Up and Sell More, where Alan gives you lots of great advice. The second, which will really pertain to your question, is why won't they call me? Alan completely understands and is up to date with the habits of our clients. He knows what they like and what they don't like, and he'll tell you the truth in no uncertain terms. We have to change our processes. There's another terrific book called The Customer Service Revolution. It talks about how the power has gone completely from manufacturers pushing out products to customers now being completely in charge of the transaction. So seek out those books, Paul. I hope they'll help. Our next question is from Jesse Sanchez. He writes, familiar songs versus deeper tracks. If you have a client who's asked you to play a particular artist, like Norah Jones, for example, do you play the more familiar song, Don't Know Why, or could you play a deeper track like Turn Me On? Well, Jesse, I appreciate your question. As a DJ and a music lover, I enjoy listening to entire full albums. But as a music director in radio, I was taught that people only like what they know. If they can identify the song by the 3rd or 4th note, then that makes them comfortable. It's something that they're familiar with. So I always say, go with the familiar track over something that people don't know. Now today, my clients love the Head and the Heart, the Lumineers, and the Decemberists. So I am going to play some deeper tracks. But if you think about artists in the 90s, and we talked about relevancy a couple weeks ago, so an artist like Norah Jones, I actually had a client sitting in my office, and I said, well, tell me what kind of music you like. And they said, well, we like kind of indie music. And I rattled off Dave Matthews, Jack Johnson, The Head and the Heart, Ray LaMontagne, Norah Jones. And the bride looked at me and said, who's Norah Jones? So we have to realize that the music that we love that may be a little bit older, we have to let go of. And when in doubt, always play the most familiar track.
DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
Back on the Perfect Host Show, DJNTV, I'm Jim Cerone. We're emptying viewer mail, and this one comes from Troy Collins. Troy is a multi-op, so he has multiple DJs on staff. He says, how about transitions? Our newer DJs have asked about this, and we want to help train them on it. Well, conveniently, Randy Bartlett, the creator of the 1% Solution, has an entire DVD, a whole video about transitions. Troy, the most important thing is you've identified that you need them. You know what a transition is and how important it is to change the mood of the room. Let's say you just finished introductions. The wedding party and the bride and groom have just come in, you've created all this energy, and now it's time for the blessing. That's a big shift. That's like taking a car from 5th to 1st, and you don't want to stall it. So you can use a vocal transition. You can vocally come out energetic, and then as you continue through your announcement, just lower the tone and speed of your voice, and now here is Father Steve. So that's one way to do it. The other way is with a music stab or a music bed. I'm also a big fan of not having silence, so I use what I call transition music. If the maid of honor has just finished her toast and the bride gets up to hug her, you've got 10, 15, 30 seconds of time before the best man is going to start his toast. So a little music bed underneath there, very subtle. And if you're listening, which we're going to talk about in an upcoming segment of The Perfect Host, you will know what song the maid of honor mentioned, and maybe you can play a little bit of that. So transitions, either vocal or with music, are really key. Our next message comes from John Raybold, and his question: how can I get my brides and grooms to communicate their wants and needs earlier than the day of the event? I recently had a bride who didn't give me her music until 2 hours before her wedding. I've noticed a huge change in how early my clients want information and how much information they want. So I've changed everything I do. If you read about millennials and the next generation, iGen, they're very anxious, they're very stressed. And so the earlier we can meet with them and the more information we give to them, the more we can tell them kind of what to expect, the better. So I've changed when I meet with my clients. Instead of 2 weeks before or a month before, I now have our detail planning session about 3 months away. Right after that meeting, I get them a timeline so they can look it over. And as they see more information, they get more relaxed and they become more reassured that we've got everything figured out. So if I were you, I would start sooner and give them more information than you think they need. I hope that helps. The Perfect Toast Show on DJNTV. We've got time for one more letter, and it comes from Adam Longworth. His question: how do you play unfamiliar songs without clearing the floor? Adam, things have gotten a lot more challenging today because we don't all listen to the same 40 songs, right? Everyone has their own Spotify playlist. The people that program Spotify have put in album tracks and live versions and cover versions. And so our clients come to us with a bigger, more diverse list than ever. And there will be some songs in there that are unfamiliar to the audience. Here's what you do. Make what I call song sandwiches. Anytime you have an unfamiliar song that they've specifically said they want for dancing, put it between two big hits. You can match the beats per minute if you want, and make sure that you do your prep work, set the cue points, know how the song begins and ends. Sometimes those songs would have a dropout in the middle and they catch us if we're not familiar with them. So make sure you're listening to the unfamiliar songs, setting your cue points early, and then as you're DJing on the fly, make sure you put one hit song before it and one hit song after it. And if the song doesn't work and you've played about 1.5 minutes, get out of it and move on. You can say, I played it, it just didn't work very well, if they question you later, but they probably won't, because the other important thing that our clients have now is short attention spans. So mix in and out faster, make sure you're familiar with the unfamiliar songs, and make a sandwich out of it. That's all we have time for this week on the Perfect Host Show. Next week, we're going to cover number 5 of the Perfect Host Top 10, which is also one of the most important. I'll see you next week. I'm Jim Cerone on DJNTV.